Imagine the new common sense in an uncommon world. There is no blue pill. There is no red pill. Just the truth. It's time to go down the rabbit hole. Good luck. A history of propaganda, or just good public relations? Well, that's the question. We're going to study one example of one company, but there's so many other companies out there. But this company has been around since the beginning of what we call PR, or in the past was propaganda. And that's what we learned about from Edward Bernays, which was on another episode. So we'll start out with Hill & Knowlton Strategies. You may have heard of Hill & Knowlton. They are involved in asbestos, the Gulf War, Roundup, even the World Health Organization hired them. Powerful Hill & Knowlton has its finger in every Washington pie, according to Marcy Gordon, Associated Press, 1992. Clients of Hill & Knowlton. Well, let's begin. Hill & Knowlton, the PR campaign against the link between smoking and cancer. Do you remember that? When they said that there is no link between smoking and cancer for like over 20 years? Smoking is good for your health. Hill & Knowlton produced a compendium of statements by physicians and scientists who questioned the cigarette lung cancer link. They started the Tobacco Industry Research Committee. That's right. It's supposed to be an independent committee researching this link. It was done by Hill & Knowlton. And the predecessor, Edward Bernays, is the one that started this. This is in the American Journal of Public Health. See some of these ads down below? 20,679 physicians say Luckies are the best cigarette. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Doctors were encouraged to promote the smoking back then. But is smoking really good for your health? Well, men with a history of regular cigarette smoking have considerable higher death rate than men who have never smoked, according to the Journal of American Medical Association, which broke that story in 1954. And finally, now we have labels on our cigarettes. Do you remember the Iraq War some 20-some years ago? Iraqi soldiers came in the hospital with guns. They took the babies out of the incubators. They left the children to die on the floor. Well, Hill & Knowlton Vice President Lori Fitzpagato had coached Naira in what even the Kuwaitis' own investigators later confirmed was a false testimony about said event. Center for Media and Democracy's PR Watch and Washington Post. Matter of fact, she testified in front of Congress. It was later revealed she's the daughter of the Kuwaiti ambassador and not a nurse that watched the babies being taken out. The babies in incubators left on the floor to die was a lie. Niyari al-Sabah, daughter of Saudi Nasir al-Sabah, Kuwaiti's ambassador, paid citizens for a free Kuwait's budget, $10.8 million, to Hill & Knowlton to train her to testify at Congress and present this lie. What about the weapons of mass destruction? Iraqi has tons of chemical weapons, so states CNN. Fake news? Well, the Committee for the Liberation of Iraq, a front group established by Hill & Knowlton before the first Gulf War, it was made to order pressure group that formed for the sole purpose of building support and providing rationale for the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq. Mother Jones, 2007. Whoops, where are the weapons of mass destruction? Ask George Bush. White House says the search found no banned weapons. Report, no WMD stockpiles in Iraq, October 7, 2004, CNN.com. October 7, 2004, Saddam Hussein did not possess stockpiles of illicit weapons at the time of. The report does further document Saddam Hussein's attempts to deceive the world. The future likelihood of finding weapons of mass destruction? Well, we know what happened with that. How about asbestos? Do you know at one time they're promoting it and how good it was for you? It saves fuel, work, time, and worry. Asbestos, insulate your homes. In the 1980s, Hill & Knowlton gave client U.S. Gypsum, which was being sued for installing asbestos in public buildings in Baltimore, advice on how to deal with the media. Its strategy including planting stories on op-ed pages of newspapers which were written by experts sympathetic to the company's point of view, as well as news articles about how safe asbestos was. Gypsum's asbestos and PR firm Hill & Knowlton, the risk of adverse outcome may be low, with even high exposures experienced over a short duration. That was in Critical Review Toxicology, 2013, supported by a grant from the International Crystallite Asbestos Association in Washington, D.C. So that was made for order research that says there's a very low chance that asbestos is going to cause harm. But what really happened? Asbestos does cause cancer, as later was found out. An increased risk of mesothelioma and interstitial pleural abnormalities in domestically exposed individuals. That's the Internal Journal of Environment and Resident Public Health, 2013. Global Asbestos Disaster Study estimates more than 39,000 U.S. deaths annually are caused by asbestos-related diseases. So much for a safe insulation for your home. How about Monsanto's glyphosates? Safe pesticides? Open secrets, Monsanto's lobbying in the U.S. in 2015 amounted to an estimated 4,330,000. They, Monsanto, get specialized support from lobby consultancies, HISTORYofPROP, Hill & Knowlton, etc. The glyphosate task force led by Monsanto is dead set on achieving an extension of the market authorization of the highly toxic glyphosate-based weed killers. Glyphosate is giving you cancer. Monsanto glyphosate cause cancer. In May 2016, World Health Organization, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, glyphosate pose no cancer risk as encountered in food and does not impact our genes. That's what the statement was prior to the recent research. Glyphosate cause cancer. 2015, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified glyphosate as probable carcinogenic. Long-term exposure to applicators handling the herbicide could increase the risk of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. A school groundskeeper from San Francisco was awarded $289 million in damages from the cancer he accumulated from using glyphosates. Vindication. Bayer reached $10 billion settlement over Roundup cancer lawsuits. A group of scientists from UC Berkeley, Mount Sinai School of Medicine, and the University of Washington, workers exposed to glyphosate at high levels continuously over decades could suffer an increase in incidence of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma of 41%. Glyphosates in our food and vaccines. Yes, you heard that right. We have confirmed the presence of glyphosate's contamination in MMR and in many other vaccines where the live virus is cultured. Samsel Environmental and Public Health Services, Deerfield, states right here, Anthony Samsel, and you can read it in Journal of Biological Physics and Chemistry, 2017. The FDA found glyphosates in an array of food products, including flour, cereal, and oatmeal, tested samples of U.S. honey for glyphosate residues, and found all of the samples contained glyphosate residues. So our food supply, even our vaccines, may be contaminated by this toxin. GMOs are safe. Hill & Knowlton say so. Hill & Knowlton helped Monsanto get approval in the U.S. and Canada for recombinant bovine growth hormone, a genetically engineered hormone to be used to increase the milk yield from cows. You heard that right. They helped to convince. In Germany, German farmers are forced to destroy crops after GMOs found in Bayer Monsanto seeds. GMOs are proven safe by independent science, or was it? National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine found no substantiated evidence of a difference in risks to human health between current commercially available genetic engineered foods and crops and conventional bred crops. That's what they stated in 2016. Who is the National Research Council, though? Under the influence, the National Research Council and GMOs. Well, who funds this independent research council? Well, you'll be surprised to know that some of the donors are Monsanto, 1 to 5 million, DuPont, 1 to 5 million, and Dow Chemical, 1 to 5 million. So the very people they're regulating for GMOs, the companies that are making them, are the ones contributing. In addition, the National Research Council is unbiased, is it? Take a look at some of these names. David Stelly, research collaborator with Monsanto, Bayer, and Dow AgroSciences. You got Neil Stewart, who worked with Dow AgroSciences. Richard Dixon, Monsanto. Bob Whitaker, Monsanto and Bayer. Karen, Monsanto. Do I need to go on? Just read the list of these individuals who are supposed to be independent. Now, let's take a look at another client of Hill & Knowlton. Who and the pandemic? That's not a question. That's a statement. Hill & Knowlton tells us we can trust them. Hill & Knowlton's strategy is working with the World Health Organization to make certain its science and public health messaging is credible in order to ensure that there's trust in the Switzerland-based group's advice and that its guidance is followed. So they need to hire a PR company to convince us whatever the World Health Organization is saying is true and valid science. COVID-19, the safe and effective vaccines. What will we learn a few years from now about the truth about COVID if Hill & Knowlton are guiding our perceptions today? How safe do you feel taking a shot that they promote? See, back in 2019, they jabbed into action. They had a study, Hill & Knowlton, where they want to show how we use behavioral insights to increase vaccine uptake. Yes, they wanted to find out what would they do to convince people, not with science, but how to behaviorally convince them to take shots. And that's shots before even COVID came into our knowledge. Now, who created this new normal? Remember the term new normal? Brought to you by Hill & Knowlton. I'm not kidding you. Hill & Knowlton launches COVID-19 habit change offer to change our habits in society. Did you hear that? Launches COVID-19 habit change. PR for COVID vaccine. Sussman, an executive vice president at Pfizer, was speaking in a conversation with Anna Marie DeSalva, global chairman and CEO at Hill & Knowlton Strategies, during a session focused on creating value, a response to COVID-19. Pfizer and the chairman from Hill & Knowlton. I mean, what else do I need to say? Taking COVID vaccines hesitancy. Basically, Hill & Knowlton helped out with the promoting of having people take insights from behavioral science and from further advanced COVID vaccines rollout in the UK. So they wanted to find out how they could convince people not to hesitate. They had famous celebrities. You see Elton John, you see Michael Caine, saw others. They had clever advertising, get the vaccine, save lives. Now we know now that it does not contain the virus. People can still get it even after the shots. That's pretty well evident. What other propaganda or public relations was used to convince people to take the COVID vaccine shot? Well, you tell me, is this good PR or not? First round on us if you've been vaccinated. Budweiser. Jabs for joints, marijuana. A free glazed donut at Krispy Kreme's. Vaccination celebration fries. The Habit gave you burger and fries, and Little Darlings even gave you a COVID vaccine lap dance. Sometimes you'll see some of these as advertising too. Murals on the wall. The vaccine protects you, those around you. You will see me, the idea of the mask and so forth. Is this public relations or is it actual science? Now, we know about the climate change, right? And we know that the earth is going to be destroyed in 5 or 10 years or God knows what. Now, no one's saying that there's not an issue with pollution. That needs to be addressed, guaranteed. But how dramatic is it? And how much of it is just good PR or science? Well, let's read about climate change. One of the companies that contributed to the flood of disinformation that brought us to this point, the public relations firm Hill & Knowlton, has been selected by the Egyptian government to handle its communications for the Earth Summit, the summit, United Nations Climate Change Summit. Hill & Knowlton, according to the website Open Democracy, has been a major PR player representing industries in many of the most contentious environmental health battles of the last half century, including the world's leading greenhouse gas emitters, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Saudi Aramco. Another of H&K's clients has been Coca-Cola, which holds the distinction of having more of its discarded plastic bottles, basically oil in physical form, in landfills than anyone else, on riverbanks, ocean shoreline, in the stomachs of marine mammals than any other single company in the world. And who takes care of their PR? Hill & Knowlton. So the very agency that brought you the Gulf War is also an agency that's helping to promote climate change and have you accept the things that need to be done. And we all know about the Ukraine war, but you know about Ukraine war and Hill & Knowlton, the incredible public relations and influence campaign launched by Ukraine, which has dwarfed any such efforts by Russia. So Ukraine's spending much more money on public relations and an influence campaign, can be attributed to people and corporations sitting in different places in the United States of America. Group M will use the services of well-known advertising and public relation companies like Hill & Knowlton Strategies, Ogilvy, and Hogwarts Worldwide to help Ukraine with its image and its economic recovery. Does this not sound a little bit similar to the Gulf War? You tell me. So, COVID vaccines and GMO food. Did you know about that? Will this be brought to you by Hill & Knowlton or some other PR firm? For Monsanto and Bayer to come together with Pfizer, for example, and Moderna to put vaccines in such things as tomatoes. GMO vaccine scientists are growing genetically modified tomatoes as edible coronavirus vaccines. Eat your tomato, get your vaccine. Next time you read, hear, or see some news, ask yourself, is this the truth? Is it science? Or is it just good public relations? Who benefits from COVID-19, for example? U.S. government, big pharma, billionaires club, the Chinese government. How did billionaires make billions during this time while the rest of us suffered? Even the statistics have changed, but these are old statistics dated March 18th, 2020, not too much longer into the whole coronavirus thing. And it shows the increase in wealth of these individuals from Bezos, Gates, Zuckerberg, Buffett, Ellison, Ballmer, and Musk. Some of them as much as Bezos was 113 to $189 billion. Gates 98 to 114. I mean, just look at the numbers here. How much they made during the pandemic. How did Big Pharma make this all happen? We'll discuss that in a further episode. If you find any information that is incorrect in this presentation, please send the correction, the original source of the information that proves accuracy for that correction, and any other circumstantial evidence that provides an alternative to the information provided. Remember, the facts presented here are just facts. The theories are for you to develop on your own. Any opinions shared are just that, opinions, and the questions are just points of clarification for facts that need explaining. Thank you for watching, and it is our intent that through this series of documentaries, we can foster investigations that can prevent future loss of life to innocent people on this planet, and God bless you all. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Common Sense. Make sure to click, put a like down there, and subscribe to us, and donate if you can so you can keep our work going. Thank you.